Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
The Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abuse. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Hello, good evening. You are listening to us. You are to Planet Radio 101.1 FM. If you're watching us on Spectrum TV channel 126 Startimes, the program you're listening to and watching is Legally Speaking. My name is Anthony. I'm a legal practitioner with law partners and associates, and I have with me today of Justice Chambers. He's the head of practice there. He writes and he plays football, right? All right, okay, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having me here.
All right, today on the show we'll be looking at a very, very disturbing news. We woke up in the morning to hear that the PDP crisis has been deepened by the lawsuit filed by the Nyesom Wike, the governor of Rivers State, against the presidential aspirant Atiku Abubakar. And such a disturbing news was that we saw processes filed in court and properly canvassed issues were published across the social media and the rest of the places. And I thought that the legal issues raised can be discussed on Legally Speaking today. And surprisingly, down the day, still the same Friday, Nyesom Wike has come out to deny knowledge of that suit. He has denied briefing the lawyer who's filed that suit. But we will, on Legally Speaking today, be looking at everything surrounding that suit and some legal issues that might be popping out of it. So let's start with the suit. You saw the suit again?
Yes, I saw the suit, and it's very disturbing that a lawyer will go to court to file a matter that he has not been briefed to file. If the press release by Nyesom Wike is something to work with, something to believe, which I think it's something that should be believed, because coming from a sitting governor, one shouldn't doubt what he's saying in this regard. It's quite disturbing. We were taught in law school how to take brief. You need to be briefed before you take a matter to the court, and so if we have reached a situation where some matters can be taken to court without the knowledge of the person that you seek to represent, then that's very unfortunate. And it has also sent very negative message to the polity in the country, because a lot of people are already blaming, we're already blaming Wike for that matter, asking if he's still a member of that political party. If you're a member of the political party and a senior member at that, then why do you now have to go to court to seek to scuttle what your political party have already done and are now in another stage of the electioneering campaign?
All right.
So for me, if this is an aspect of the fake news that is going on in the country, then that's most unfortunate.
All right, the suit number in that case is FHC ABJ CS 782-2022. Now, in that suit, the plaintiff is said to have hinged his claim on the grounds that the PDP primary conferred undue advantage on Atiku Abubakar and aided his emergence that's on the May 28 and 29 primaries. Now, in that suit, the publication said, or the suit said, that the governor of
Sokoto State,
Tambuwal was already standing as a candidate in the election, and his votes were handed over before his withdrawal. You understand that he did not withdraw before the election proper, the nomination proper, but after the nomination had commenced. So whatever votes he had were now transferred to Atiku Abubakar. So is that a good question? Could those votes be transferable at that point?
Well, I wish this kind of issue was raised shortly after the primaries, within the circumference of the time provided in the Constitution, which is 14 days. That would have been a very interesting legal issue.
Pretend that this is within the 14 days.
Okay, now I really doubt if it is possible to transfer the votes of Mr. A and hand them over to Mr. B, because the people that voted, they were very clear about who they voted for. And therefore, if along the way Mr. A decides to pull out of the contest, he goes with all the votes that were given to him. And so if it's no more in the contest, then all those votes ought to have been nullified automatically. There is nothing like transferring the votes of Tambuwal to Atiku Abubakar. That itself was a misnomer, and so I would have loved a situation where one of the contestants, upon losing the election, upon losing the primaries, headed straight to the courts within 14 days to ask the courts to interpret whether the votes of Tambuwal could have been rightly or lawfully transferred to Atiku Abubakar. I think the court wouldn't have had difficulties in deciding that those votes were not transferable. And if that was the case, then a lot of imbalances would have been thrown at the PDP arising from that very action.
Like you said, if it was during the heat of the moment, where the figures were still flying around, would have loved to see how many votes Tambuwal ought to have had, and deduct them from Atiku Abubakar. What would have been left? Would it have been higher than Wike's vote or lesser? Because that's, in the end, would have still been a determining factor.
It would have been. It would have gone a long way to determine who the true winner, is in that election. Because Tambuwal, a sitting governor, I'm sure he had all the votes of the representatives from his states. And don't also forget that Tambuwal has been in the political landscape for a long time, and therefore he would have had votes from other states of the Federation. And therefore, if these votes were separated from the votes of Atiku Abubakar, it would have really been a decider to know exactly who the true winner was. Yes, Wike wasn't performing badly at the election, so it would have been very clear. But again, this was a terrible mistake by the PDP as a political party. The ballots were ticked for the candidates that were preferred by each and every delegate. And so when the ballots are ticked for a Kemenudip, you can't transfer what belongs to me to another person. Else, you open up the flanks for litigation. But perhaps good enough, none of them was ready or was prepared enough or courageous enough to go to court.
Yeah, because issues will arise when these tough questions are asked. The party will call their men together. Let's run in the dogs, please. In the interest of the common political party, can we subpedal? Can we do this? Can we have a soft landing? Can we withdraw us from the court?
Now, this is part of the problems of this country, and for me, it's part of the reasons we've not made the kind of progress that we're expected to make. Someone has a legitimate cause, he goes to court, and everybody will be pleading with the man
for political solution
to withdraw. In fact, mandates will be given if someone from a particular local government takes the political party to the court. The governor will even call the political leader of that local government to say, talk to your person, let him go and withdraw the matter. The same with the president, the same with any senator, and so on and so forth. I think that Nigeria should allow those that have legitimate complaints to see these complaints through the court. Because one way or the other, the decision of the court is going to serve as precedent for tomorrow. It's also going to help in shaping the political landscape of this country. I'm not ruling away the fact of out-of-court settlement. Where it is necessary, no problem, let it be done. But not in a situation where people are coerced into going into out-of-court settlement. I really wish somebody had gone to court 14 days after that primaries. This would have been a serious issue for determination, which would have gone up to the Supreme Court, and the courts would have had the opportunity of interpreting whether the votes of Tambuwal, who is said to have withdrawn midway into the primaries, can rightly be transferred to an Atiku Abubakar. I think it wouldn't have been transferred.
I think at this point you are talking more like a lawyer, and you love to see courtroom action, you love to see decisions of court. But these are politicians who just want to be in power. And when you expect them to sacrifice the opportunity of being in power, or being in the corridors of power, to a test run academic exercise at the courtroom, you know, where the court will decide against them, and in the end, all of them, including the party will lose election. So, reasoning or logic would say, let the party win election first. Where you come from, they say, "Man, young Italian, so when you come back from the bush, you now shade the monkeys. Because if you insisting that I want the court to determine, yes, the court can determine that Wike has won. But is Wike strong enough to pull the political party together after that and win the national election for the party? The answer might be no. So on the alternative, settling out of court, allowing one party to go whilst the others will support him, might give them a stronger foot forward.
Well, you know, if Rotimi Amechi had that same reasoning, he wouldn't have been a governor. Maybe in his lifetime he wouldn't have been. He decided to go, you know, he believed that he had a cause and decided to go to court. He went up to the Supreme Court, and he was pronounced by the court as the governor of Rivers State. Not in another political party, the same political party. And in the final analysis, it was still the same political party that benefited from the emergence of Rotimi Amechi as the governor. So, for me, if you believe very strongly in a cause, you make your analysis, you talk to your lawyers, you read the books, and you see that you have a good cause to present, go ahead and present it. If the party really did not want any litigation, then the proper things ought to have been done. When the political parties go against their constitutions and their rules of engagement, they open the flanks for litigation. And for me, nobody should be stopped from going to court.
All right.
Go to court, let it be decided so that that political party can learn tomorrow, and so that a common person who doesn't have the clout, who doesn't have the financial muscles, can one day become the president of this country.
Can I say amen to that?
You can say it.
All right, let's look at it now. Wike has come out to disclaim the lawsuit. And he's not mincing words. He said, I don't know the lawyer, I've never heard about the suit before, and that's a very strong indictment. Where a man is deemed to have filed a suit in court, at the Federal High Court in Abuja, is a presumption of regularity. He ought to probably have signed some documents, you know, like affidavit oaths. Now he's come to say, I don't know the firm, I don't have interaction with them. What's going on?
Well, you know, a lot of things would obviously go on. Now, for the politicians, it is possible for a politician to brief a lawyer and then advancing money to start the matter, and when the heat becomes too much, he decides to hold a press conference and disown the lawyer. And that's why it's advisable when you are dealing with some category of clients, there is need to have some documentation. You put some footprints on the floor so that if it happens, you can refer, you can do this and that. Must have been SMS, must have been email, must have been some kind of communication. And if it comes, there are some law firms that will give you forms to fill, you know, to show that you have instructed them to carry the brief for you. if that's the case, and Wike is now denying because the heat appears to be too much, everybody appears to be blaming him for trying to sink his political party, then the lawyer should save his own profession. However, if truly Wike did not engage anybody to take up the matter for him, then that's a clear case of professional misconduct on the part of the lawyer. And therefore, the lawyer should be invited to offer some explanation as to who sent him. And that can be done. Wike can also write a letter reporting the lawyer to the disciplinary committee of the bar, because that clearly is touting. And you know very well that the legal profession does not allow touting. You don't go ringing bell and saying, I know how to do this case, I want to do this case, and so on. Allow yourself to be briefed. Allow yourself to be briefed properly, and then do what the client requests you to do, and do it within the bounds of law. If truly this person's name is on the roll of legal practitioners, because that's another thing.
Okay, now, because that's where I was coming to. I've considered that Wike is equally a lawyer. He's not a stranger to these things, so he would know exactly what's going on. One, before a lawyer is allowed to file a suit, there must be evidence that it's on the roll of the legal practitioners with a seal. And having read through some of the prayers on the process, he must have been a lawyer before he could, conceptualize and put such thoughts on paper to file a suit. Beyond that, what are the, you've talked about some ethical issues of not being briefed by the client to take on the matter and take it on. What are the basic things the law or the legal practitioners disciplinary committee could do to such lawyers?
Well, a lawyer is invited to the disciplinary committee for misconduct, gross misconduct.
And does this amount to gross misconduct?
Now, misconduct can mean anything. Anything that brings dishonor to the profession can be called misconduct. It's like contempt. Your phone rings in court, and maybe you are warned the first time, and you allow the phone to keep ringing because you were expecting money to come into the phone very soon. It can amount to contempt. I have said that even somebody walks into the court and disturbs the court, it can amount to contempt. So the same thing with misconduct on the part of a professional, not only legal practitioners.
But look at it, there are two different things here. Contempt is between the court and legal practitioners.
No, I was only bringing contempt as an example to show to the listener that anything can be contempt, can amount to contempt. A lot of things. A lot of things can also amount to professional misconduct. Medical doctors, they also have theirs. Lawyers will have ours. So now, if the filing of a matter without the authorization of the client has embarrassed the client and has also embarrassed the legal profession, it can amount to misconduct on the part of the legal practitioner.
It's called champati, right?
That's champati. Champati means going after
ambulance chasing.
Ambulance chasing. You go to the hospital and you are.
The story about ambulance chasing then was that somewhere in Britain, when there's an accident, lawyers run around to give you cards.
Yes.
We can sue the hospital. We can sue this person for you. And the law frowned against it.
Yes.
You don't go chasing ambulance.
That's it.
For medical practice or any form of accident cases or seeking briefs, unsolicited briefs, right? So if a lawyer would sit down on his own and craft a brief for you, probably send it to you without having your approval, he goes ahead to file. When you need approve, he should file. Because that suit can ruin Wike's career.
It can.
If it's a PDP man and that suit is floating in the system, it can ruin his career. If I want to come back next week or next month, next year, after this presidential election, to go to the Senate, I could, if PDP wins, it stands a good chance of being a minister or ambassador. But because they say he filed a suit, that can ruin his chances.
Yeah.
So there should be punitive measures. So that's a punitive measure I'm asking. From the back, start point of the back, what do you think could be done? Because the judge, the court can actually do anything as it stands.
No, it's the disciplinary committee of the bar that would have the power. No court has the power to derobe a lawyer. No court has the power to remove the name of a lawyer from the roll of legal practitioners. But the disciplinary committee of the bar, which is
a committee of the body of benchers, and the body of benchers is created by an act of parliament. You know, it has the power to remove somebody's name from the role. So there is when it is carefully analyzed, there are issues, there are ethical issues here. There are case issues of misconduct on the part of that legal practitioner, and that can give him, because it has brought dishonor, and that can give him some issues to battle with at the disciplinary committee. But then
I'm listening to you, and I'm imagining that I'm not a lawyer, and I'm trying to figure out what you mean.
What I mean by discipline.
So can you speak in English, please?
I don't know the kind of English you want me to speak.
All right. So maybe what I'm looking at is this: where a legal practitioner is referred to the committee of the disciplinary committee of the bar. Part of the punishment that could be meted out could include suspension from the bar.
Oh, certainly.
It could be deroped for a certain number of years.
Yeah.
It could, if he is in the rank of the senior advocate, it could be.
Sanction is taken from him.
The senior advocate might be taken from him, and it becomes an ordinary lawyer for a while if he will never be restored. Because it brings the legal profession to disrepute.
Yeah.
That lawyers don't have things to do; they just go around filing cases for people who are not even aware that cases have been filed. And you get to hear people on the street saying, "I was in my house, and a lawyer went and sold my house and went to court, got judgment against me, and I'm still sitting here. The next thing I see, I'm being packed out of the house." That might not be the true story. They will use this as a highlight to say they even did it to Wike. He was sitting in the government house and cases were flying around with his name, and didn't know what to do.
But you see, that lawyer has a duty to clear the air on these. If truly is a lawyer whose name is on the roll, because another problem we have in the profession is people trying to mimic what we do, claiming to be lawyers when they are not. And the law frowns at it seriously. Anybody who does that when he's caught, we've seen a lot of people standing trial and so on and so forth, and people should be careful. If you're not a lawyer, but you desire to be a lawyer, read up to become a lawyer, get JAM form, pass the JAM, go in, read, the door is still open, rather than do quackery in the name of law practice. So that lawyer has a responsibility to explain. If he was briefed.
Let me cut you short before you start recommending people to read JAM for JAM. You can do law without reading JAM. There's direct entry and stuff. Is that still JAM form? All right, if you want to join the conversation, we have two numbers to call. One of them is 090-222-31011. The other is 081-762-48565. I'll repeat the two numbers again. 090-222-31011. The alternative number is 081-762-48565. So in about 2 minutes time, the lines will be open. You can call in for a contribution or questions, however you feel like being part of the show. You're welcome. So now, moving away from there, there's a consideration that there could be a criminal action brought against a lawyer. Is that possible?
Well, criminal action, I find it difficult to situate
a crime in that.
Yes, a crime in that. I think it's more of professional misconduct if that person is a lawyer.
Yeah,
but if the person is not a lawyer, then criminal charges may be filed against him for perjury or something.
No, but I'm thinking that before such suit is filed, there will be a lot of documents to support the application. And some of these documents would have been gotten without the consent of the parties involved.
No,
right?
getting.
Then some of them, for instance, if Wike has to file a deposition, there would be a signature. Would he not bring an action of perjury or falsifying his signature? You know, would that not be a ground for criminal action?
No, certainly. If Wike's signature has been forged, it's a ground for criminal action. It's perjury, and you're going for it. There are many years of imprisonment that someone can go in for that. Outside that, it's more of professional misconduct if that person truly is a lawyer. If that person is not a lawyer, then his trouble is more than he can see.
Part of what I did not do, I probably needed to see, I ought to have seen, or we ought to have seen the address of counsel who filed this suit, and see how we can probably situate him within the legal profession. If he files out of Abuja or he filed out of Port Harcourt, you know, though the suit was filed in Abuja, but you see, the likelihood of it being a Port Harcourt-based lawyer, a Rivers State-based lawyer, or Abuja-based lawyer, the likelihood is high, right?
Yeah.
So if the suit says it's from Uyo in Akwa Ibom State or the Cross River State, it's a bit suspect, right?
Yeah, but I doubt if that person is from Uyo or from Cross River State. It will just be maybe somebody from Port Harcourt or somebody from Abuja or practicing in Lagos or something. Well, Wike has come out to deny the suits, and
should Wike not do more than just denying it? Because if you denied it, you should have the lawyer.
You should have a lawyer to go to court and get it struck out.
No, did you file this without you strike out the matter?
No, strike out his name
from the suit.
Yes. Hello,
good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, barristers in the studio.
Yes, welcome to Legally Speaking.
I'm so grateful to God for getting you today. I've been trying this number, I couldn't get you. So I want to appreciate you for this wonderful program. I am Comrade Emmanuel Okon calling from Uyo.
Emmanuel Okon from Uyo. Can you speak out louder? Sorry.
Please, I want to know more about the legal battle, about your colleague Ihidege Etiong, because I have been hearing over the radio that he had been maltreated. So please, I want to hear more about the case. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, thank you very much. Much as that is not what we have on the table today, I believe there has been a press statement by the controller of correctional center, and he's explained the circumstances he was taken from Ikorekpene to Uyo Correctional Center, and he's also expressed the fact that he was not maltreated. I think we ought to take him for his words. We've not heard anything to the contrary from either Inibere or somebody within the system. The rest of what we're hearing is hearsay. So the fact that he's been moved from Ikorekpene to Uyo is not strange because of COVID-19 restrictions and the quarantine that happened in Ikorekpene. That's what all correctional center inmates start from before going to any other center for COVID-19 protocol, health reasons. So the aspect of the barbing is usually done so for your comfort and convenience. You might not have your Hello.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, Tony Chuk, I call you from Iduran.
Tony, welcome to the show.
Yeah, Pastor, I always pray that God will continue to give you wisdom and ingenuity to continue in this program.
Thank you, sir.
I want to quickly ask, somebody that stood election and in the course of that election decided to step down for another candidate. What about, I think the vote will also be transferred to that candidate if the person steps down for another candidate. That is number one. Number two, in case regarding the letter of the statement based on Mike denying this particular lawsuit now, could it be mischievous elements from the opposition that may do this? Because Mike should do something more than this, than to deny.
Okay.
But away from this, I want to quickly say that the drama put forward by Mike as a sitting governor of a state that is a founding member of PDP should be called to order. I think the best thing for him to do is for him to sheathe his sword and support the party. Why am I saying this? Is because of the fact that he is supposed to have been in the forefront to stop that election. By the time that they were proposed zoning into the south, supposed to stand by the south and not allowing any northerner to stand election with him, knowing how popular certain candidates are. So I want to let him know that he's supposed to have done that, and since he has support to several persons that will win the election, let him do the needful and stop this drama so that the party can make headway. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, thank you very much. He's talked about the harvesting votes or transfer of votes. I don't think that's really possible. Because if I vote Ekemini, it doesn't mean I'll vote who Ekemini votes.
Yes.
It's not a delegated vote, right?
Yes.
So if Ekemini is no longer standing election and maybe who else do I know is on the other side? I should be given the right to choose between the remaining people.
Yes.
Because you can be my first choice.
Yes.
And I have a second choice.
Mm.
So saying that since I voted every vote, if Ekemini now decides for Atiku Abubakar, all of Ekemini's votes should go to Atiku. I don't think that's a proper thing.
It's not a proper thing. And I also, people must be decisive. How do you even get into the contest, and midway into the contest, you now withdraw? You're already creating confusion. If Tambuwal knew that he wasn't going to have the lever to stand to the end, because it was obviously going to be a hot contest, if he knew he wasn't going to have the lever to stand to the end, he ought to have withdrawn even before the commencement of voting. Now you allow voting to start. Midway into it, you withdraw. And you say that you have handed over your supporters to Atiku Abubakar. PDP is just lucky that
the matter didn't go to court as it was.
The matter did not go to court within 14 days. If the matter had gone to court, it's a novel kind of matter. And I can see clearly that there's no way that kind of generosity just carry this person's vote.
After all, the court would have asked for the bringing of the ballots, and the ballots will show Tambuwal. And so the ballots will be separated from that of Atiku Abubakar, and that obviously would have given PDP.
Also, Tony also talked about this issue of the suits. A third party might have just brought it to embarrass the party. It could have been an opposition party that filed it. I would really want to doubt if an opposition party could be that diligent in filing that suit.
No, they can be.
It must have been somebody that is within the system. Because when you file such a suit and make such claims, it must have been inside their caucus to know this person's contested, this other thing happened, this the vote was carried across to the other party, and so on. But yet again, a lawyer cannot take a brief from a third party on behalf of another, and you now still call that person your client.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've been saying all along. And when you talk about insider in Nigerian politics, the line between PDP and APC is very thin, very, very small. In fact, sometimes, if you call it a border,
is there any line?
There's no line.
Yeah, because
so what happens in
currently, what I understand is that the hierarchy of APC is totally PDP. The same people that were, and the swap is a direct swap.
So whatever happens, even in a caucus meeting of PDP,
someone in APC will be aware.
Yes.
And so it's not
difficult to have these
facts from what happened at the primary.
All right.
And all that,
okay.
And possibly do the filing of the suit. But that is made possible because of the behavior of Nyesom Wike.
Yeah, I think that's what Tony also concluded, that there's been these issues of infighting or drama, he called it drama.
Yes, because
drama by Wike. But if Wike has not actually orchestrated that drama, he's just expressing his anger or disappointment, and he's sitting on his own. Remember, we read today too that there's this publication that Wike ordered all PDP flags in Rivers State to be downed. And Wike has come to say, I never made such order. So he's not acting any drama. People are acting, or people are puppeting him.
Well, I don't know if he has denied that one very well.
No, he
because,
did. He said very well.
Yeah, because people also shared photographs of the Rivers State government house. If you've been to Rivers State government house, during the conference, we saw the PDP flags everywhere. The photograph I saw, I didn't see that recently, but
well, that's still left
for them. But you see,
maybe those flags were for occasions.
Well, the whole of this is happening because of the posture of Nyesom Wike. Before now, Nyesom Wike was PDP soul and body,
and nobody could manipulate
litigation against him and so on and so forth. Now, for me, it's a difficult one for PDP, and I have to also handle it carefully, because you suspend Nyesom Wike now. That may not be the best decision for the political party at this critical moment. Now, if Nyesom Wike should defect from PDP now to another political party, what says the Constitution? The Constitution doesn't sanction him. So that's why PDP must be very tactical and handle this situation so that it doesn't snowball into something that will really hurt you know,
Okay,
PDP.
let's take it a little away from that position. Let's consider the number of stories that are filing out now. Early in the morning, you hear STVNg has ordered that flags be downed, and probably we're hoping to hoist a new flag by tomorrow or something. And he says it's a lie. I never said so. Where are all these stories coming from? Now, what's the position of the proposed social media bill? Because the social media seems to be churning out a lot of lies, and it's not helping the polity. All right? One would have thought then, back in the days, anything you read in the papers is gospel. Yeah. So you say, I saw it on papers, and you can actually tender newspapers in court, and it's admissible as evidence. But today, by courtesy of the social media, you can't even trust your name on the social media. You check again if it's properly spelled, because everybody seems to be wanting to pull one over the other.
Yeah, sadly, it appears that even some established media houses now depend on what's happening on social media before. They just pick it directly from there.
And publish.
And then publish, which is very unfortunate. You know, a caller asked about our colleague in Iberia and talking about torturing him and so on and so forth. You've seen the press release from the
correctional center
saying that he wasn't maltreated, and they have explained the movement from Ikonekwane to you. They've also said he wasn't handcuffed, because the story that was churned out yesterday said he was handcuffed, treated like a common criminal, paraded before other inmates. But the press release today has said that he wasn't handcuffed. And you see, I wonder why people just sit down, manufacture stories, and churn the stories out. And the papers also, the conventional papers also copy this. Now, we're talking about STVNg's matter. STVNg has come out to deny it. But some national dailies, in their headlines today, they've carried that Wike had gone to court. And I ask, what happens to investigative journalism, where journalists needed to put calls across, needed to travel down to see the court papers by himself before being published?
Is there a way forward?
Well, the way forward is, first of all, to change the way we behave as a people.
What makes us change?
Now, let us disown fake news. Let us reject fake news. But what you have now is celebration of fake news.
Okay.
So whatever is churned out, people begin to share across social media platforms and so on. No one is asking how factual is this, and no one is taking responsibility. So remember that this is what happened when Lai Mohammed said Nigeria needs to have the social media bill, and
it wasn't Lai Mohammed, it was this administration.
Okay,
so let's
this
not
administration, okay, this administration.
Yes.
And heaven was let loose and so on, to the extent that you can never regulate social media. And so I believe in free speech, but at the same time, even the law has exceptions. In doing free speech does not entail that you go outside the truth and publish what is not truthful, and publish what has no factual support whatsoever. Like you said, it is not helping society when fake news is being churned out the way it is done recently.
Yeah, because I am considering that if actions are not taken, punitive actions for deterrent, because that's the only way we can stop. It's not just preaching in church at gospel and saying it on media. Now, during the NSAS protest, I came to discover that there are people called social media influencers. And you know what they do to become social media influencers? It's not that they have a large followership alone. No. Some of them create the followership. So I can have an accumulatum that has about 4 to 20 to 200 fake accounts, which I use in supporting what I say. So I could say something and I use it to retweet, and at the end, it will be a chat stopper, because I've been able to multiply myself into 200 or 300,000. So all those people are actively, all those fake names are actually pushing up what a lie that I've fabricated. Now, if there are no measures to ensure that these things are copped, the social media influencers will continue their work. And there will be just one person saying what 1 million people are saying. All right, but in the end, they will say it's been so active on the social media circle. It's been the number one. What do you guys call it?
I don't know what they call it.
Okay, you don't know what they call it. Yeah, but that it to be the most reigning.
Trending.
Trending, yes, that's the word. It's been a trending topic for the day.
Yes.
But what makes it trend? Somebody who has been able to manipulate the system.
Yes.
Carries a fake news and manipulates it and makes it trend.
Yeah.
And the Nigerian authorities, the profession, that's the News Agency of Nigeria and other professional bodies, are not able to nip these people on and nip the stories in the bud and come out to say, beyond Wike saying, we've traced the source of that story to this person. He's been arrested and is standing prosecution, being prosecuted.
Yeah.
Because until we do that,
most
of these boys or girls or whoever will continue to sit in their comfort of their bedrooms, turning out fake stories, fairy tales, and making the whole country believe that they have a true story to sell.
Yeah, for me, it's just that Nigeria is not ready to take certain steps. We're not ready to really push forward as regards development.
Now, who is not ready? Because I
no,
like
Nigeria.
Like I've pointed out.
Yes.
The person that is not ready might be one person who has 200 other pseudonames.
No, this is a point
and he will raise that. He will raise those army against any genuine attempt or effort by the government to move forward. And as long as the government keeps reading social media, they will not make progress.
No, the point I wanted to make was that Nigeria is not ready to take certain steps to correct some ills in society. You've mentioned News Agency of Nigeria. What's the role of that agency? And you see, internet is very simple to trace. Whatever you do, you leave traces, you leave trails and so on, footprints. So it can be traced to the last person. It can be traced to the originator of a story. But Nigeria hasn't done that. Other countries, they do it. So people are cautious. They know that you cannot hide under anything when it has to do with the internet. And so people don't churn out falsehood because they will come after you. The authorities will come after you and you'll be made to stand trial. But in Nigeria, it's a free for all kind of situation, which is very unfortunate. Now, remember,
I think everybody is trying to impress the other.
No, it shouldn't be so. Remember the boy that was convicted recently for the murder of Inebo Momoren. Remember that while that boy was still in police custody, there was news that was everywhere that the boy has been released. And the police had to bring him out and then hold a press conference and even make the boy to talk. So this was made possible because fake news is thriving in the country, unfortunately, and nothing seems to be done by the authorities of this country to nip these things in the bud and discourage people. And people are not also ready to talk to themselves. Because for me, how do you sit down and fabricate a story and say that someone is a criminal when the person is not a criminal? You say that someone stole this, you say that someone did this and that, when the person hasn't done anything like that. When you do these things, people should also understand that most of the people defend, they have families. They have those that can have hypertension as a result of the bad stories that
people commit suicide.
People even commit suicide, and so on and so forth. So there is need also for some kind of regulation, some law that is able to apportion blame and apportion punishment. People go to prison for committing this and that, and so on. That way, I'm sure that a lot of people will call themselves.
All right. I think the numbers to call will be 0902222 31011. I repeat that number, 0902222 31011. The alternative number is 081 762 48565. 081 762 48565. Now, having recommended, can you sponsor the bill?
Well, anybody can sponsor the bill.
You know, because Nigerians we seem to fight everything that is progressive. The moment you bring the issue of, they say they want to gag the media, and it start telling you stories of 1973, 1974, where the military administrator did this and did that, without even reading through the provisions of that bill. and you have all these young men and women who run around with maybe handkerchiefs in their mouth, protesting a gag. Whereas the Americas and the Europes that you're calling in to come and support you, you are screaming to high heavens to also have the same legislation.
For me,
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, you want to legally speaking.
This number call for radio.
Hello. Hello, you want to legally speaking.
I think we've lost that.
Okay, I think we've lost that, yes.
Well, for me, there is no need comparing what happened in the 70s during the military era, 70s.
I mean, that's where they usually run.
Yeah, so I'm saying that there is no basis comparing because, see, there was no social media at that time. It was just the conventional press houses, okay? This newspaper, this TV station, there were no private stations and so on.
It was NTA, there was no AKBC.
Yes. So now this time around is like an open market. Everybody is a journalist. Everybody can post and so on. So now, having reached this level of development in quote, a lot of things have emanated, and there is need to look into this direction, so that when people publish fake news, they should be held accountable.
Yeah, they know they stand a risk of being arrested, they stand a risk of being prosecuted and sent to prison. Unfortunately, I think something like that happened in Cross River State recently, and the whole war came up for the man, I've forgotten his name. Abba Jalingo, right.
They said, how do you arrest him? Why?
Yes, and there was this hashtag everywhere. Nobody cared to ask, did Abba Jalingo publish a fake story?
Yeah.
I also asked that it be released, right? But the other question was the story he published true? Or was it false?
What the prosecuting agency should do
Hello, you want to legally speaking?
So what I think the prosecuting agency should do is to check the period of detention, which is why a lot of people, why you have the outcry, oh, this person has been kept for too long. You don't need to keep someone for long. The Constitution says 24 hours or 48 hours maximum. So when you arrest for publication of fake news, arraign the person in court immediately. I don't see that to be a difficult charge to draft. It's simple. The person that you're arresting had used his hand to write what he wrote. So you lift from there, add it to the law, and then you arraign the person in court. Then he is granted bail to go home and be coming to court from home. That way, the outcry will not be much. People will now be able to ask and say, but this thing that he published, was he sure of it? Because what appears to swallow the conversation is a long period of detention of those that are arrested.
Yeah, with Abba Jalingo in particular.
Yes, Abba Jalingo had been kept for too long for defamation of character. That wasn't supposed to be, whether you're doing criminal defamation or civil defamation. The person should be granted bail. It's not a capital offense, but let the person be tried and let the proper thing be decided at the end of the day. If the person had published something that he cannot substantiate, then the person should go in for it, and I'm sure such a person shouldn't be surprised that he has been sent to jail.
Okay, now going around the whole Wike story, we've at least on the face value, we've had Wike come out to say, I did not send these people, not X Factor. I did not send anybody to file a suit for me. I think the key word for me is I don't even know the lawyer that filed it. It means I've never met him. People now ask, can a third party file on behalf of you? Is it right or, well, is it legal for a third party to file on behalf of another person?
No, it cannot be done except the third party donates a power of attorney to say, okay, I will not be around, so take this power of attorney, go and prosecute this matter on my behalf, and then you sign the power of attorney, the person uses it as something to harm himself against tomorrow.
Okay, what is called authority to sue?
That's the power of attorney now. You give the authority to sue. But you see, it is always said that you cannot shave a man's head in his absence. He has to bring his head to the barbing salon or to the barber shop for him to be shaved. You can't do it in his absence. So if the man does not feel aggrieved, you can't be aggrieved for the man. to the extent of going to file a suit for the man in the name of that person, and so on and so forth. So I think that this is something that people should watch. You shouldn't be too excited about going to court. Go to court only if the person that you are taking his interest to the court feels aggrieved. If the person is not aggrieved, because what is offensive to you may not be offensive to another person.
All right, now let's start running up. Now, there's this conspiracy theorists. Conspiracy theorists could say, one, Wike is putting up, he's playing the ostrich. He knows about everything that's happening, and he just wants to keep a straight face and well, flaunt his weight, you know. So you know that I'm weak here and powerful. One theory. The other theory could be that an external political party is trying to create further gaps in the PDP, so they will have advantage over them in the election. With the further divide, it's easier to have them fight against each other than yes. Then a third theory could be that a lawyer got excited. This lawyer saw a loophole in the law and felt if given the opportunity, we could actually make this case work. And he prepares and files the action, hoping that he'll be able to show an essay to the governor, who would show the governor might be interested and hire him to defend the matter. You know, so those are the three possible conspiracy theories. Which would you lean on to?
Well, none of the theories is impressive to me. As a state governor, you are a stakeholder in the democracy of this country. If I am a stakeholder, how much more a state governor? And so you shouldn't be playing things from the back door. No. If you are aggrieved, the law allows you to go to court. So you go to court with your name on it. I can't be a state governor and be doing things from the back door, be sending fake people to, no, it's wrong. Now, for me, whatever the theory is, if people are capitalizing on Wike's utterances recently, then Wike himself should be able to sit down and then take a decision. Okay. If he doesn't want to be in the PDP anymore, Wike should just leave the PDP. Don't stay in the PDP as a spoiler. If you're not comfortable with PDP, he can resign. He can defect to another political party, and there's no consequence in law. All right. At least as of today, there's no consequence. But don't stay in there and be doing some spoiler's job, anti-party activities, and so on and so forth. At the same time, though this is legally speaking, but let me also say something politically. In the first place, I feel that PDP, in giving the ticket to a northerner, ought to have understood the fact that they were going to have this kind of struggle in that political party and so on and so forth. But Wike should take a decision as a man. I know him to be a frontal person. So let him be frontal about it. If he wants to leave the PDP, let him leave. All right. And not stay in the PDP to sponsor this,
all right,
to lower flags.
All right, thank you very much. I am very sure that you've not really paid for the advertising PDP on the show. Yeah, there are other political parties, and maybe he's taking his own pound of flesh. You did not allow a free, fair election. I would not allow you to campaign freely and fairly. I will have to be a spoiler. So any of these conspiracy theories could actually be true, especially the publications and the lawsuit having been denied by Wike. Kibini, thank you very much for coming on the show. I think that's where we come full circle on Legally Speaking today. I've been with the Kibini of Justice Chambers. My name is Anthony Ebuku. I'm of Law Partners and Associate. I hope everything you do from now till next time, next week, next time when we meet again, will be legal.
The only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did?
He never did.
he linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters counsel is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Akwa Ibom, oyememem, Akwa Ibom, yemawana bao, obong bongo wanu bok, yung tongontak bongo wanu kat. Akwa Ibom, oyememem, we need peace. Akwa Ibom, yemawana bao, obong bongo wanu bok, yeah, yung tongontak bongo wanu kat. Let's live in peace. Let's live in peace. Let's live in harmony with one another in Akwa Ibom. Let's live in peace. Let's live in harmony with one another in Akwa Ibom. Akwa Ibom, oyememem. Akwa Ibom, oyememem. We don't need fight. Akwa Ibom, yemawana bao. We don't need war. Obong bongo wanu bok. Please. Yung tongontak bongo wanu kot. Akwa Ibom, oyememem. We need peace. Akwa Ibom, yemawana bao. Yemem fana. Obong bongo wanu bok. Please. Yung tongontak bongo wanu kot. Ibom a cappella.
You would be the reason we would spend another 4 years in the penury if you don't vote right. Please don't be the reason why another child would die from lack of food to eat. Don't sell your birthright. Eyes on the ball.